and welcome to Moneylife. This week, I'm going to talk about what it means to be Viksit Bharat. We are the fourth largest economy in the world, but look at our lives and the quality of lives. Yes, I'm talking about the last week of December when we heard that a city of Indore, which has won for 8 consecutive years, which has been called the cleanest city in the country, has seen 10 to 14 deaths in such a horrendous way. Apparently, people in a certain area were ending up water, drinking water contaminated with sewage. 10 people have died at last count, maybe more. 270 people have been ill. And all this is sheer negligence. Activists have said that there was enough of warning. The Madhya Pradesh Pollution Board had documented information about fecal groundwater contamination as far back as 2016-17. Remember, this city is winning awards as the cleanest city. And what are they allowing people to drink? Then there was a report from the Controller and Auditor General in 2019 that flagged serious infrastructure flaws with their water systems. No upgrades happened. Only when the deaths mounted did the administration act. So, 2 engineers were suspended, middling types. The municipal commissioner was shunted out much later after public outrage. A local politician has made news on social media for his dismissive comments to a reporter when questioned about this issue. It's only on 4th Jan that the state declared an epidemic due to the outbreak of waterborne disease in this area, Bhagirathpura. This was over 10 days after this problem had surfaced and was sending shockwaves. As it turns out, even as I'm doing this blog, Indore is not the only place where people are getting filthy water. There are posts on social media. It's happening in Bangalore. People are getting dirty water in their taps. It has become a feature of India. Yes, the same India which wants to be called Viksit Bharat. In fact, in India, civic and infrastructure failures are systemic. Human lives have been reduced to standardized fiscal handouts. So, what happens when you die? The chief minister or the prime minister grandly makes an announcement of ex-gratia payments. So, people are happy, a few lakhs are paid out after every major disaster, accident, infrastructure failure, and calamity. Happened in Indore. The price of life was set at 2 lakhs only, and the ill were promised free treatment in hospital. Surely nobody is happy with that. But this is the story of India. In fact, decades of history show that ex gratia payments are about all that any victim can expect to get because legal accountability proceeds at a glacial speed. It takes an average of 15 years for any litigation to come to any kind of conclusion in India. Many times, much, much more. In fact, the more stronger the vested interest, the more they can delay it, the longer. So 15 average, it can be 20, it can be 30. What's worse, even these ex gratia payments, which are like just a lofty decision on what is the value of life of the people who died, it depends on the state and varies widely depending on the political optics. An election round the corner or a big shock, opposition is strong, the payout is higher. Otherwise, as in case of Indore, value of life is 2 lakhs. Remember, Indore is from Madhya Pradesh, the same state which has seen the most horrific industrial disaster possibly in history. Yes, I'm talking about the Bhopal gas disaster in 1984 when a leak of methyl isocyanate from the Union Carbide plant killed 5,000 people, and the subsequent settlement led to a paltry payment of just 25,000 for each victim, later topped up when there was an attempt to review things. The survivors have lived with lifelong illnesses, which means constant medical treatment. Criminal proceedings dragged on until 2010, this century. What happened? 2-year sentences to a few engineers. The company itself escaped full accountability and had changed ownership in 2001. So, bit of raat gayi, baat gayi, we move on. Some payment is made when there's a disaster. There's an outrage for a few days. Politicians know this well. Why change systems when you can throw some money and move on? In fact, Most recent disasters have revealed the same callousness. Morbi, the suspension bridge collapse in October 2022. Remember that? 135 people died during a festival in Gujarat, but it was Gujarat. So the government announced a 10 lakh compensation, and the group which was in charge of maintenance, the Oriva group, was ordered very recently in 2023 by the Gujarat High Court to pay another 10 lakh for each death. So 20 lakhs was the value over here. 2 lakhs, 20 lakhs, right? Ask who was Oreva. It was a clock manufacturer with zero expertise, engineering expertise to maintain this bridge. It faces a trial for negligence. It'll drag on. By the time there is a verdict, most would have forgotten except the victims, who in this case have been paid more. In July 2025, remember there was a Gambhira bridge collapse also in Gujarat, which killed 22 and injured dozens. In this case, the value of life was significantly lower than in the previous one, though it was Gujarat. So the state gave 4 lakhs from the chief minister's fund and 2 lakh came from the prime minister's fund. 6 lakh as opposed to 20 lakhs in the previous case. Perhaps because there was less outrage. That's how the ex-gratia is decided, ad hoc, loftily, by the politician in charge. As always, probe is announced, but no significant action has followed so far, and it's going to take forever before anything happens. Contrast this with the devastating Balasore train collision. Three trains collided in June 2023, 296 deaths, 1,200 people injured. Why? Because there was signaling and telecom failure due to gross negligence. Now, there was outrage all over the country. The site, it was all over social media. Three trains, including a goods train, just colliding into each other, and chaos that it unleashed. So, what happens? Immediate ex gratia. First, silence people by making a payment. So, they valued the life at 10 lakhs for each deceased person. Severely injured were given 2 lakhs. Those with minor injuries got 50,000 each. Why? Because people were so angry, and opposition parties, in fact, wanted payouts of 1 crore each. Few people were suspended, 3 junior officials were arrested. The case drags on. Nobody from the railways, no senior person, and certainly nobody from the railway ministry accepted any accountability at all. Far cry from the days when railway ministers resigned when there was a major accident, and this was a triple collision. Nothing happens. In fact, India also has the highest number of deaths tied to road accidents. Usually poor road infrastructure, bad enforcement, terrible traffic management. But apart from the motor insurance payments, which have been fairly good, but depends on who your lawyer is and how long the fight takes you, it's not fast. After these legal battles, there's been some light. In fact, this is the one little bright spot: motor insurance. Moneylife has been talking about public liability insurance, right? Motor insurance is the only one where there is some kind of liability because it's mandatory. The regularity of these failures is rooted in the contractor politician nexus. All of us know it. We tweet about it every day on social media, and we act helpless. In fact, we have our rights, but we pretend there's nothing we can do. Public infrastructure projects are revenue streams for political funding because there's no transparent funding. So contracts are based on political kickbacks and not on competence. Everything is engineered, including who can bid. The result: substandard materials, weak enforcement, zero accountability, and disregard for expert advice and warning. Repeated warnings are ignored. It's happening on the environment. And then there is the legal system, which enables all this because of the interminable process and the fact that we do not have a well defined tort law. We cannot have class action because the government after government and across political parties since independence has not wanted us to get together and fight legally for our rights through class action. That's why it is all but unworkable. Yes, people have got together, homeowners. Don't tell me about these few examples where somebody puts together a group, but this is not how class action works around the world. It is very difficult in India, and it's expensive because Tariq pe Tariq, you have to pay legal fees, and not everybody in a class is able to do that. Nobody wants to change the rules. The rare exception in all of this was the Air India crash at Ahmedabad in June 2025. Yes, 260 people died, including 241 on board. But remember, Air India now belongs to the Tatas, so they pledged 1 crore per deceased. They also established the AI 171 Memorial Trust with a 500 crore corpus and also paid other costs and damages. India now ranks as the world's fourth largest economy, yet it has the highest number of poor people globally. Is GDP growth a matter of pride? If the quality of life is poor and its value paltry, accidents happen everywhere. But developed nations have legal systems that make negligence catastrophically expensive through billion-dollar settlements, substantial punitive damages, strict liability frameworks, and swift accountability. Let's look at examples. Germany. We don't have examples of major disasters, but it holds engineers personally liable with lifelong professional bans and often imprisonment. Japan, different ball game. Chief executive officers, in fact, resign immediately by accepting responsibility even before legal processes begin. Corrective action and policy overall follows, and they have a proper compensation system through legal processes. The US has a robust law of torts which gets punishing damages for companies which are negligent. And the last known case over there comes to 2017. So they haven't even had such major accidents after that. China. China is number two. Accountability is brutal and swift, often leading to capital punishment. In fact, even here, you go back to 2015 for an example of this kind of action, which is the Tianjin warehouse explosions, where there was capital punishment and long imprisonment, which happened quickly because they take it as a matter of national shame when something like this happens. Contrast with India, we do not have a culture of this kind of law of torts so that victims can demand damages and extract them as a matter of right. It is the largest of government. Class action, like I said, doesn't work. In fact, October 2025 was an exception. A landmark judgment of the Bombay High Court directed this was a matter of potholes where the family filed a case and the High Court responded brilliantly with this judgment, holding civic officials personally liable for the deaths and injuries caused by potholes, open manholes, and similar infrastructure negligence. It said that compensation must be paid promptly and recovered from the responsible engineers, contractors, and officials, failing which they would face criminal and disciplinary action. It remains to be seen if this order will stand and will be emulated by courts in other states and again endorsed by the Supreme Court. Let's see how it goes. It's just too recent. Earlier this year, the Bombay High Court again, another brilliant order, it said the Mumbai Municipal Corporation will pay 50 lakhs. See the difference? Ex-gratia and a court order. 50 lakhs to each family of 8 persons that were killed in a fire that happened in Hotel City Kinara in 2015. It's a very tragic case where young students had lost their lives. There was nowhere to escape because of illegal constructions and permissions. The litigation has gone on for a decade. The good news is that the municipal corporation has paid up that money without contesting the order. Now we come to public liability insurance, which Moneylife has been talking about. We've done video blogs, we've done a report on this. Those rules, another bright spot this year is that those rules began to be changed in 2024, but they take effect in 2026. So it's called the Public Liability Insurance Amendment Rules of 2024, taking effect this year. It has raised no fault relief for accidental deaths from pathetic 25,000 to 5 lakh. To my mind, 5 lakhs is low, but if Indore got 2 lakhs, you would say 5 lakhs is a lot more, and I don't know why that didn't happen to the victims in Indore. The cover for property damage has increased to a maximum of 50 lakhs, and maximum insurance liability per accident totally has increased to 250 crore, backed by a fortified environmental relief fund. This is great news, but it's still just about okay. So we are celebrating something which has increased after decades of leaving it untouched, but it's nowhere near good enough. It ought to be a lot more, and definitely not on par with what a Viksit Bharat requires. The increased amounts will coincide with the shift to risk based capital framework. All that doesn't matter. We will look at whether it works. That is a work in progress, and we are watching, but it raises hope for better compensation without depending on political largesse. Its effectiveness again rests on the judiciary's ability to enforce timelines and to make sure that people follow this and do not find ways of evading responsibility and not paying. More importantly, the willingness to punish politically connected business and industry houses which have a lot of money to fight these kind of cases. Now, the Bombay High Court orders and the public liability insurance rules, which have been revised, signal a small change towards adopting a system where the cost of negligence and cutting corners has increased. But a developed nation should not be measured by GDP alone. Let's not celebrate it. It's about the value of human lives, how people are protected, and this is so much more important because this country, to be Viksit, needs to have social security, which we do not have. And by social security, I do not mean the little charitable things that are there for the really poor or food grain that is handed out to them. We, the middle class, when you no longer you're paying 30% tax one day, if you meet with an accident and no longer have a job, you are left to your own resources, your credit card debt, your home loans. We have case after case tragically coming to us where the state is not there for you when you're in deep trouble. For this kind of country, you need laws that are in line with our claims to being Viksit. Unless India embraces this principle wholesale, infrastructure disasters will, of course, continue their grim march because of collusion, negligence. Pipes will crack, bridges will collapse, trains will continue to derail, and families will be happy with tiny ex-gratia payments as they mourn their dead. The choice is clear. India can remain a nation that counts its dead in rupees, or it can become truly Viksit by ensuring that there is a political price to be paid for each disaster. That can happen only if we are vigilant, we protest, and we work at breaking the nexus between politicians and business, which is now dragging us down. If you agree, please share this and make other people aware and help them raise their voice. Thank you so much.